Hello, Green Team. We are in part 5 of 6 on our series Conducting a Home Search. And today we'll be talking about dealing with complications. We have 5 parts of today's uh, video, starting with getting into properties, then changing the schedule, having unexpected guests, adapting to buyer behavior, and then finally, and most importantly, being safe. So we're talking about the showing process, conducting a home search. Last video, we talked about the actual showing of homes, but believe it or not, it doesn't always go super smoothly. There's sometimes issues to deal with. And so today we're going to kind of talk about what those issues might be, what to watch out for, and how you can handle them. So first off, and probably every realtor's biggest fear, is they're going to get to the property, they're going to have their buyer standing next to them, they're going to be putting in the code, and they're going to get an error message in their app so they can't get the key to the house. And they drove 30 minutes, their buyers drove from out of town, and we're all standing in front of this house and we have no way of getting into it. And it is extremely stressful. Speaking from experience, not a great place you want to be at. So there's a few ways to prevent this. First off, always test your super key in the office with just a sample box before you go out to major showing, especially if you're going a ways out. It's just always good to do just one quick test, takes about 20 seconds. Then you know your super key is good to go and you feel good about going to the property. It is possible that the box will have a dead battery or something like that, but that is super, super rare and something you can let the listing realtor know about if the battery doesn't come on. So make sure you're pushing up the bottom, the little red lights coming in that little black oval, and you're typing in your code right, and it should work. So make sure you test before you go. Second, if you've never done it before and you're getting an error or it's asking for a code, call the board office, especially if it's only if it's during business hours. You can call the board office and they can maybe get you set up on the fly. And then third, call another Weichert agent, someone from our office, especially if you're kind of nearby, or maybe blast on the group me, see if anyone's nearby. They can come bail you out and help you out by opening it up with their phone. Those are kind of the last moment things you can do. But the key is, like we talked about in the last video, getting that property about 10 minutes early. So if this is happening 10 minutes before your showing time, you got just a little bit of time, hopefully, before your buyers get there, that you can get it corrected. But if you test beforehand, get there early enough, it should prevent this happening. And trust me, you want to do everything you can to prevent this happening because it's a very stressful situation. So that's complication number one, getting into properties. Number two, changing the schedule. So this can happen for a ton of different reasons. If you're showing like 7 or 8 properties in a day, sometimes you're just going to get off schedule. Something's going to take a little longer than you expected, or you're going to go through one faster than expected. You're just going to need to change stuff. So the first way to do it is to click reschedule in the showing time app. So you just go to your showing that's already confirmed, like you see in this photo. You click reschedule and you send a new time. Hopefully that realtor will see it, confirm it immediately, and you'll be good to go. If you don't get that confirmation, make sure you call that agent. Their info will be on the same screen down at the bottom here. You'll be able to see their phone number. Call them and make sure you get approval to show it at a different time. Don't just go walking into houses, especially if they're occupied, or go knocking on houses at a time that you haven't set up to be able to go in there. Make sure that you get approval ahead of time. The other kind of thing that happens here is sometimes you'll pull up to a property and your buyers will say, you know what, we decided we don't even want to see this property. It's across the street from that cemetery and we don't really want ghost or whatever their problem may be. Or they may even say, we drove by it the day before, we didn't like the area, we don't want to see that house. So this is kind of a complicated scenario because we want to get that information to the sellers as soon as possible so that we're not kicking them out of their house for no reason. So if you're skipping properties, make sure you get that info as soon as you can to the listing agent so they can let the sellers know. Hopefully you can tell them before you kick them out of the house. But if you're at the front doorstep and they decide they don't want to see it because something across the street, it's always a good idea probably just to walk your buyers through the house anyway and say, well, let's just check it out and maybe we'll get some ideas of something you're looking for or something you're not looking for. Since we already kicked them out of the house and everything's prepared, let's just go ahead and walk through. It's kind of a courtesy to do. So this is part of being a professional realtor. We're trying not to upset people. We're trying to be fair, and it's just kind of rude to people to kick them out of their house and then not show it. But if for some reason, if you can get it early enough, you're going to cancel the appointment, maybe, a few hours before, that's no problem. You're going to come into your confirm showing, just like on the screen, and click cancel appointment. You're going to give them the reason that they want to cancel the appointment, and then boom, your schedule is changed. The key here is if you're changing your schedule, communicate as quickly as possible to the listing agent so that we're not unfair to the sellers. We want to keep it up to date for the sellers and let them know what's going on. And it can be a pretty stressful part of the showing process to make sure you're staying on schedule. All right, complication number 3, dealing with evil cats that are demented and look like this. Just kidding. Usually if it's a pet issue, it's a dog issue, but let's go through these. So first off, unexpected guest. What if the owners are there? So you get there and the owners are at the house. Well, first thing you want to do is check and make sure you scheduled your showing for the right time and day. It's happened to everybody. We clicked the wrong day, wrong time, and the owners are still there and don't even realize the showing's supposed to happen. If that's the case, you leave the property, talk to the listing realtor, and get a new time set up. Apologize to everybody, you messed up. Apologize, try to get a new time set up that works for everybody. If you're there at the proper time, when you have your showing scheduled, go ahead and knock on the door. When the owners or tenants answer, just say, hey, we had a showing. I'm Mitch Biesmeyer with Weichert Realtors. I had a showing scheduled for this time. Just wanted to see if we could go through the house. And maybe they're like, yeah, sorry, we couldn't get out because we had a kid with a problem, or who knows what the situation is, and you can talk to them about it. If you've got the scheduled time and you can show it on your phone, you're probably good to go ahead and knock on the door. Tenants are very commonly a problem for this because tenants don't like to get out of the house because they don't really have a motivation. So a lot of times they'll try to stay in the house during the showings. So deal with that the best you can. Just make sure you're communicating with them, and hopefully they'll just kind of let you go through without bothering you too much. The second thing is pets. We've had complications with pets by numerous agents, and if there are notes in the showing instructions that there's a dog in the house or a cat in the house, make sure that you are handling it as it says to in the showing instructions. Usually those dogs, if they're in the house, will be in a kennel, which is fine. You just maybe want to check the property when you get there 10 minutes early, make sure the dogs are actually in the kennel, everything's good. If you see a dog in the backyard, it may be something you want to make note of and let your buyers know, depending on if they want to go out there. But the key is just kind of being aware if there are pets there. Check back through those showing instructions, see if there's a certain way you're supposed to handle them. Because the last thing we want to do is get anybody hurt or cause some kind of problem with someone's pet. And then third, if there are other agents there at the property while you're trying to show the property, we need to check again to make sure we're there at our scheduled day and time. And if we are in our window, we're going to just mention to the other agent, hey, I'm Mitch Biesmeyer with Weichert Realtors. I got a showing scheduled at this time. I'm going to go ahead and walk my buyers through the property. Are you okay with that? Or something like that. Just get out in front of it. They'll probably say, yeah, sorry, we're like 5 minutes behind. We're doing a couple of other showings. We got behind. We're going to be professionals. We're going to be nice about it. We're going to say, no problem. We're going to start on the other side of the house. And nothing to worry about. They'll probably say, okay, and I'll leave the key in the door so you can lock up when we leave. We can do that. So we're all on the same page. So don't come in hostile. Just come in knowing that these other agents are going through the same stuff you are and the same complications you are. So just talk to them and make it work. And if it's not your time, wait till your time to go through and kind of stick to your schedule. So those are kind of ways to deal with unexpected guests. Again, the key here you'll notice is communication with whomever you're dealing with, and checking back on the showing time to make sure you're in the right before you say anything to anyone. Our next set of complications, adapting to buyer behavior. We've all had buyers that are on the 5th house, and sometimes it's a kid, sometimes it's an adult, but they gotta go right away. So in general, we want to avoid going to the bathroom at all costs at any properties just because it's someone else's home. We don't want to do that to them. But in an absolute emergency situation, we're going to go check and make sure the water's on. The easiest way to do that is just to go next to the toilet and go to the sink and just run it, make sure the actual water is on, and then let them know the water's on so that they can use it. And again, we want to leave that bathroom in the exact same shape that we came in with. So just kind of be cognizant of that as you do that. And again, we just want to use the bathroom only in extreme emergencies. Second, if you've got buyers walking through a house, and kids are notorious for this, but adults do it also, and they're touching everything in the house, they're moving stuff around, you're gonna have to kind of step up and say, hey, we're not really supposed to mess with that stuff. Or if they're rifling through cabinets or drawers, hey, we're not really supposed to mess with that stuff. Just kind of make a nice little gesture, and most people will get it like, oh yeah, sorry, I wasn't even thinking. And they'll be fine with it. So you'll very rarely, it's just more of a reminder than anything that you're in someone else's house. This is where they live, and it's not really something for you to go just mess with all their stuff. So just keep that in mind, that that's what we're doing. Obviously, we're going to open curtains and turn on lights and open doors, so those things are normal. But we don't want to go through any private property or start moving around furniture or anything like that. So just make sure you stay out in front of it, give them that little reminder, and that usually does the trick to make sure they're not messing with anything. And the third thing is, what do you do if your buyers are just moving so slowly through a property? You got a 15-minute window and you're looking at a 1,500 square foot house and you've been there for 45 minutes. You got to step up again here. Let them know, hey, we only have this showing scheduled through this time. If you guys want to set up a second showing, we can do that to give you a little more time. But we've only scheduled through this time, so we got to get out of here because the sellers may be coming home, or there may be another showing scheduled, whatever you need to say. But we need to keep them on schedule. And it's something you're going to learn. Some buyers take longer than others through houses, which is fine. But after you show them a couple, you're probably going to realize, oh, for these next showings, I need to schedule a little longer window because these guys take a little bit longer. But also, you just kind of want to be good about moving them through the house. You want to give them time to look at what they need to, but there's no need for them to just be sitting at a house. And especially, usually what happens here is they start talking about everything in their decision-making process, their loan, their pre-approval, and that's really stuff we don't want talked about inside the house. As we mentioned last video, those could be motivating factors that they're giving away through camera or audio feeds that people may have set up in their home. So we don't want to be doing that stuff. Let them look through the house, keep them on a schedule, keep pointing to that schedule. When I hand people MLS sheets, I always write down the time in the top corner, the start time and the end time I have scheduled for that house. And it helps to keep them on schedule without even having to say anything. But if they're going too slowly, you're going to have to say something to kind of move them ahead of time. And the last thing, and the most important thing, is being safe. So first off, when you get there, parking, make sure you're not parked in a way that someone could block you in. We really want to be parked next to the buyers or in the street if we need to be. But you just don't want to be in a spot where you could potentially get blocked into the house. Some people like to back into the driveway, but just do it in a way that you're comfortable parking and that you feel like you could, in an emergency situation, get into your car and get away from the house if you needed to. Second, communicate. So let us know, let another agent know, or let one of the brokers know, or some of the staff know, hey, I'm going to show this house out in this place. I've never met this person before, which we never want to do this. We always want to conduct a buyer consultation. But if for some reason you're not doing that, make sure you let people know, hey, I'm not super comfortable. I'm going to give you a call at this time. If I don't give you a call at this time, please call me so that we can make sure that I feel comfortable. Set that up, talk to someone ahead of time, because we don't want you out there on your own with no one knowing what you're doing, where you're at, in case something happens. And third, if you're really in doubt and you don't feel comfortable showing a house, there's no commission check worth risking your safety. So if you are in doubt in any way, first off, bring them into the office, have a buyer consultation with other people there to make you feel a lot safer. But if you're in doubt and you're going to show a property, just don't do it. It's just not worth it. So get them in a public spot, and if you still don't feel comfortable, just don't do it. It's not worth it. We're not going to force you to. We're going to understand you saying you're not safe, and we'll have your back 100%. So these are just some of the complications you might deal with in the showing process. In our next video, we're going to finish up conducting a home search and hopefully get into the offer stage. See you guys there.